everyone. How are you doing? This is Daryl Guberman, CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut and also an ISO register that we help companies get ISO certified, International Organization of Standards, in all derivatives. We have a very, very special guest. We have a Senator Tammy Duckworth from Illinois, Democrat. And this video today is about Senator Tammy Duckworth calls for FAA review of Boeing's failure to disclose 737 MAX flight deck features to pilots. Yes. Let me give you a little bit of background on me, Tammy, so we get to know each other a little bit more. Again, my name is Daryl Guberman. I'm the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC. I just gave that, but we have over 40 plus years in quality encompassing aerospace, medical implants, materials, printing, and plastic distribution, where we dealt with every industry under the sun. We have many technical certificates and diplomas in composites, plastics, also non-ferrous metal, aluminum, titanium alloys. We're also a certified level 2 penetrant inspector, etc., etc. I don't want to give you narcolepsy. Today, again, this video is about Senator Tammy Duckworth calls for FAA review of Boeing's failure to disclose 737 MAX flight deck features to pilots. I'm going to give you, now, I'm going to say this, Tammy, if I may. This has been taken 40 plus years to metastasize. I always thought there was supposed to be a separation between our federal government, federal agencies, and corporations. I'm not going to go into it here, but I will say this. The American National Standards Institute are paying two of your agencies, two of the government agencies. The Department of Commerce runs the National Institute of Standards and Technology. They had a Gordon Gillerman, $120,000 tax-free royalty payment. Now they changed it to various because I exposed that mess. Various. What's a various payment? Who knows? Okay, he also gets his federal salary. On top of it, a Phil Mattson from the Department of Homeland Security is sitting there as well on ANSI's board, getting about $250,000 as a royalty payment or various. So maybe they're going to pull them off real quick because I'm exposing them to you, Senator, but we have all the data. So they may be able to pull what they want, but they can't pull the wool over Daryl Guberman's eyes. I'm going to show this to you now. Please sit down. And this has been taken 40 years, so it may be 10 or 15 minute long video, but it's going to be a deposition. So that when you call me down for a Senate or congressional hearing, we believe in integrity, honesty, and the truth. My company's name is Guberman PMC LLC. It is not, and I repeat, it is not, ever will I disparage my family's name. I, Daryl Guberman, on April 4th, 2024, swear under penalty of perjury that everything that I assess and give to Tammy Duckworth, Senator, at this time and this moment is official with corroborating data. And if you want more, we'll give it to you. Please sit down and let's go. The American National Standards Institute is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation which has fellow agencies and corporations on board. Tammy, in 2013, I gave a speech at the American Society for Quality, which they also sit on ANSI's board, right over by the American National Crediting Board, and also, of course, other federal agencies and corporations. At the time, ASQ, American Society for Quality, owned ANAB 50%, and ANSI owned ANAB 50%. David Levy, Region 3 Director, was sent on a mission trying to disparage me, but he didn't. And if you read at the bottom, it said, Dave Levy said, there is no restriction on you doing business unaccredited or accredited. And as I said before, ANAB has no problem with what you do. In fact, we support you, sir. Yes, at my registration company, just like a TUV, DNV, BVQI, etc., I have GPMC LLC, a registration body, okay? We're going to continue. So what happened is, in 2016, Randy Doherty invited us to join. Now, he, at the time, you're going to see and you're going to discover that back in 2009 to 15, he was the vice president of the American National Crediting Board and also the chairman and principal on the IAF tax report. The International Accreditation Forum, Tammy, is an organization that has both international and national accreditation bodies on it. Those bodies, if they're an IAF MLA, which is a multilateral agreement, or MRA, a multi-regional agreement organization, they are equivalent in accreditation to ANSI ANAB. Also, you will discover that ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the IAF, along with the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation out of course, Australia. He invited us to join either the IAF or ANAB or both. As you can see, you can stop the video. But let me tell you the little saga here, if I may. And it's unbelievable. 2015, Randy Dury, Vice President of ANAB, Chairman of the IAF, okay, and also Principal, hands over leadership to this communist Chinese national who's been involved with our quality, Tammy, for over, since 1994, 30 years. He at the time is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, and that is incorporated in Peking, in Beijing, China. He is mandated by Communist China to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. As you can see, federal agencies and corporations down below. Here is an article that he said he's very pleased to hand over leadership, to Zhao Jinwu, and this is in 2015. Let me just back it up a second, Tammy, if I may. How in good conscience could I, Daryl Guberman, a proud American, while I was being invited to join either the IF or ANAB or both, how could I do that when he had handed over the IF to this communist Chinese national, cybersecurity issue extraordinaire? How could I possibly do that? I'm a proud American, so I believe, and I still believe, that independence as a quality registrar, you would not have the issues you have at Boeing right now, and you're going to see that. Okay, that's a fact, and I can prove it. All right, here we go. You have, Tammy, you have ANAB on ANSI's board. IAF and ILAC are sister organizations, and basically, Randy says it right here. They're sister organizations. IAF, along with its sister organization, ILAC, operate a mutual recognition arrangements, the IAF MLA and ILAC MRA or MLA. Okay? Also, Tammy, ANSI is the founding member of the International Accreditation Forum. ANSI is a founding member. In 2018, ANSI and ANAB got together. They collaborated, and ANSI took over complete control. One of the worst things you see is that they are sitting on the International Accreditation Forum between 2015 and 21. And remember again, Randy invited us to join in 2016. But how in good conscience could I join either ANSI or either ANAB or IAF or both, when ANSI ANAB sat on the IAF, being watched over and controlled by Communist China? On top of it, you have a lot of federal agencies on there who, during the term of office of Zhao Jinwu, the Communist National, there was a lot of hacking going on. Or in this case, since they're sitting there, our government has just given the data away. You have 10 different registration companies in China that can issue an ANAB accreditation. Here goes a good one, Tammy. This is a true government contract. You can look up that number. It was released in 2018 when the IAF was still being watched over by that communist national Zhao Jinwu. This is a standard operating work order, and it says right here that they are underwriters. ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the International Accreditation Forum. And if you go deeper into this standard operating work order, our State Department invited Communist China in there. They require them, as a matter of fact. Here's gets a little bit sticky, Tammy, if I may. In 2017, while Zhao Jinwu was still the chairman of the IAF, he is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services. Okay, and let me just tell you this. He's standing there in Wuhan, China, handing over a laboratory certificate. He handed it over to a lab that was not qualified. Honestly, in 2018, we had some specialists from the United States go over to Wuhan, China, and the scientists were begging, please, 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 we need more technicians that are trained properly. Well, he handed this certificate into basically a faulty lab, and we're going to prove it to you right now. Just give it a second. This came out of a document, a China document, that said that, when Mr. Fauci was there being inquisitioned by Ron Paul, he said that Fauci said we don't know anything about gain of function research. Take a look at bullet point number 1 right here. There's the gain of function if you don't see that. There you go. And this was a meeting, a second annual U.S. Workshop, China-U.S. workshop, challenges of emerging infections, laboratory safety, and global safety security. The first item of business is gain of function research, gene editing, targeting, and delivery, and other novel biotechnologies. And this was being held 2 years before COVID was released, May 17 to 19, 2017. We do have the booklet, by the way. Here's the booklet, the document that came out. We'll prove it to you because here's the picture that I had blown up of Zhao Xinwu in the lab in Wuhan, China. And at the back, they always save the best for last, Amy, as always. In the back of it is that document I showed you about gain of function research, okay? Now we're going to bring in the laboratory. Here she is. Pamela Sale in 2017-18 was getting inquisitioned in Texas. Under deposition, she said that from one laboratory to another, and you can see this, just stop the video because I'm not going to read it, but she said from one laboratory to another, they lack protocols, which means it is more than likely than not, COVID was released from that lab. They had no trained technicians, simple trained technicians. They needed more trained technicians. And that was in 2018, and we know 2019-20, the COVID virus escaped from that lab. So I'm going to show you this, okay, if I may. This is volume 25 from May 2019. This will show you that this is a training document for a virology lab. Only one in China. I'm sure they have a couple, but this was related directly to Wuhan, China. Okay, it came out in May of 2019. The CDC put it on, and by the way, they sit on ANSI, also the NIH does. On page 3, it states this. The safety and function of a biolevel 4 laboratory relies not only on the containment facility and biosafety management systems, but also on highly qualified and experienced staff. So basically, you had Pamela Sale, the Vice President of Certification for Laboratory, basically confess that the COVID virus was released from Wuhan, China. And this is a good one. This we got out of a document on the internet. It said a majority of failures happen in laboratories, certified laboratories, accredited laboratories. Now we come to Boeing. This is a good one, Tammy. You better hold on tight. You better buckle in. You have Boeing sitting on ANSI's board, right over by their accreditation body, ANAB, as I showed you earlier in this film. On top of it, in 2002, Amy, this is what happened. And I will tell you about how they broke the Sherman-Clayton Act with me of 1914, antitrust, anti-competitive, and they are a monopoly. This is a a bulletin, supplier bulletin. And it states on here, an on-site Boeing survey/audit of suppliers' quality system if need be. Our preference is to deal with proven suppliers with excellent quality performance and not have to do on-site quality system surveys or audits. So basically in 2002, this is what it breaks down to, Amy. It said, send in your AS9100, which is an international standard for aerospace. As long as it's ANSI ANAB accredited, send in the document, we'll check it off, send in your part, and Boeing doesn't have to go there to look if it was made in a swamp, made in the woods, whatever, bathtub. They didn't have to go. As long as you had this ticket to play in the game, that's what it is, a ticket to play in the game, pay to play. And they had constriction there. Boeing has constriction. As I showed you, their supplier bulletin is number 1. Boeing sits on the board, and you're going to see it here right now. And we're coming up to it, but I want to show you this. You're asking about the FAA. In 2009, the FAA made Boeing an FAA regulator. And they say in here how they didn't have to tell the FAA, because they are FAA, about MCAS. Let me read it to you. FAA increased the authority of Boeing's commercial airplanes division to self-certify its own aircraft. Authority extended to Boeing under the new system allows, listen to this, Tammy, Boeing employees to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight of testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies and new aircraft, new aircraft designs. So when they said, along with certification of aircraft technologies, that's the MCAS system. They never had to tell the FAA. Tammy, they are the FAA. They are. And here it goes. sitting on their supplier portal, that's where all the suppliers go, is it's basically mandating you to be ANSI ANEP or internationally equivalent. And you find out that those internationally equivalents, equivalent to ANSI ANEP accreditation, could be Iran and also Pakistan. You remember the 9/11 deal? Also, the Management System Accreditation Council. Tammy, here you go. Look at this. Boeing is right here. On this council, you can grant, suspend, and withdraw certification. So let me tell you this one, if I may, Tammy. This is why they broke the Sherman-Clayton Act with my company. Because we would have customers who would send in the certs and they said, we only accept ANSI ANEP. Why? Because they call it out in 2002 on the supplier bulletin. Okay, in the supplier bulletin. Number two, they call it ANSI ANEP on the supplier portal. Okay. Now you see them sitting on the committee that can grant, suspend, withdraw certification, ANSI ANEP, and they also sit as on the director side as well, okay, management director. Here you go, Tammy. While they were FAA regulators, they were caught fudging documentation. Boeing was. Also, most recently, Tammy, down in their Pennsylvania composite facility. I'm a composites guy. They were found screwing up documentation from 2007 to 2018, okay? In 2007, they weren't an FAA regulator. And then rather than being prideful about becoming a regulator, they used it to cut corners. We're an FAA regulator. We don't have to tell anyone about MCAST. We are the FAA. They did not use it to foster good quality. They used it to cut corners, Tammy. We have all the data. Here goes another one. Who sits over by them? There you go, sits over by Boeing. You have the FAA. And I have a question for you, if I may, if we can grab it here. I have a question. How does one regulator, Boeing, get audited by another regulator? Okay, the craziness. There he is. Hold on, sorry. Here it is. They were made a regulator in 2009. So how does one regulator regulate another regulator? It's impossible. They're lying to you, the senators and Congress. The FAA is going, oops, and I feel bad for Mike Whitaker. Mike Whitaker has his hand on his behind, Tammy. He was handed a whole kettle of fish, but I think he knew about it too because he was there for a little while in government. You also have the Department of Justice, who took the Boeing Bell composite facility to task because of them screwing up documentation 2007 to 18. That's 11 years. And with composites, criticality is time, temperature, and pressure. If one of those is missing, you're going to have a part failure and possible loss of aircraft and passengers. On top of it, you have the Department of Defense sitting over there by these guys and gals. And then you have Christopher Wray. And let me just tell you about Christopher Wray, if I may, Tammy. You have him under many of your committee meetings asking about, you guys and gals ask for how do we do China? And he says, China is a detriment to the whole world. And let me just tell you, the whole society, American society. Well, let me just tell you this. Between 2015 and 2021, China was watching over while Chris Wray was on board. So what is he talking about? By the way, my telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS@yahoo.com. And I swear, upon penalty of perjury, everything I have shown you is true and to the point. If you need any more information, do not hesitate to contact me. And please, thank you for your service. Tammy, I truly thank you endearingly that you served our country. I appreciate it. And as I stand here, I too am serving the people of this country, and I'm coming to you for help. I thank you.